Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio is known for three things: UFO conspiracies, cutting-edge aviation technology, and ghosts. Lots and lots of ghosts. In fact, the National Museum of the United States Air Force, located right on base, is considered by many to be one of the most haunted museums in America, if not one of the most haunted museums in the world. And after visiting it myself and seeing places where shadows allegedly move and hearing some things that I can't truly explain, I just might believe them. Before we start, if you want to keep exploring places like this with me, subscribe to The Other Side and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And if you want to go even deeper into the weird, the haunted, and the unexplained, consider becoming a channel member. Soon you'll get early access, exclusive content, and a shout out in every video, just like our very first Other Sider member, Polly Cooper. Thank you, Polly, you're one of the brave ones. The National Air Force Museum sits at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a site already soaked in mystery, from its pivotal role in developing military aviation to being the rumored location of Hangar 18, where UFO remains and alien bodies from the Roswell crash are allegedly stored. Wright-Pat is no stranger to conspiracies, but the museum has its own ghost stories. Let's start with one of the most infamous exhibits in the museum, the B24 Liberator, nicknamed the Strawberry Bitch. This heavy bomber flew 50 combat missions during World War II. Today it sits frozen in time, except it doesn't always stay still. Museum janitors have reported seeing figures move inside the plane long after the building and the hangars are closed. They've heard unmistakable voices and even laughter echoing through the cockpit. Lights flicker on and off, and on more than one occasion, staff say they've seen somebody sitting in the cockpit, only for them to vanish when security personnel approached. But the creepiest report? One janitor, while closing up in the World War II exhibit alone, was hit across the face by something that he couldn't see. He walked out and he's never returned to the museum since then. I don't know about you all, but would you return to the museum if that happened to you? Let me know in the comments down below. Then there's the boxcar, the B-29 Superfortress that dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki. This plane quite literally ended World War II, and it may have doomed itself to a haunted existence. Visitors claim they see the ghost of a young Japanese boy standing near the aircraft, crying softly. When they approach, they say he disappears. Typically, he's seen right behind the barricades where you're not supposed to go, right underneath the airplane. One museum employee even claims they saw the boy's reflection in the glass near the display, but there was nobody there. There are at least two other wandering spirits nearby in the World War II exhibit, the Lady in Blue, and potentially a Nazi. In one corner of the World War II exhibit sits a chilling relic, a preserved uniform worn by a high-ranking Nazi officer. Museum staff have described an overwhelming sense of dread around the case that holds the uniform, with some even hearing whispers in German. Cold spots are often reported by guests near the uniform, along with sudden power surges or battery drains on devices like cell phones. Finally, one of the more haunting apparitions in this part of the museum is that of a woman in a 1940s-era blue dress. She's been spotted walking slowly through the World War II exhibit and vanishing without a trace. Some believe that she's a widow still searching for her lost husband, possibly one of the men immortalized in the photos and letters on display. Then there's the Sikorsky UH-19 helicopter, better known as the Hopalong. This helicopter flew rescue missions and was used as troop transport, and its final pilot allegedly died in an accident. But it seems like this pilot never left. People report a shadowy figure inside the cockpit, flipping switches and its head moving as if it was scanning a checklist. Security has rushed in thinking a break-in has occurred, only to find the cockpit completely empty. Except, sometimes when they check, the switches have been moved. An unexplained chill also haunts this exhibit. Visitors often report feeling an icy coldness sweep over them despite warm temperatures. EMF meters, when used by local ghost hunters, spike here frequently, and one guest even reported feeling a hand on their back as they were admiring the aircraft when they thought they were alone. Then there's the Black Maria, a CH-3E helicopter that saw heavy combat damage, and it still carries the scars of war. If you look closely at it, you'll see bullet holes in the fuselage, and if you listen closely, people report hearing moans like wounded soldiers crying out for help coming from this helicopter. I'm not going to say I wasn't influenced by this when I did my research, but when I was in the museum, I did hear some weird sounds around this helicopter. I don't know if I was able to capture them clearly or not, but it did kind of sound like moaning, and I'm going to hope that there's some speaker pumping in noise, or else this is weird. Allegedly, when nobody else is in the hangar, the air grows heavy around it, and the sound of moaning never quite stops. But even though those aircraft are amazing in their own aspects, the activity doesn't stop there. Near the SR-71 Blackbird, quite literally the triangle-shaped aircraft from most X-Files episodes, cold spots and camera glitches are constant. This is a marvel of Cold War-era engineering, but it shouldn't be causing these issues. I experienced this firsthand while trying to film near it. My phone kind of stuttered, and that video just wasn't usable, but I don't know, maybe it was just an oopsie poopsie. Then there's the Douglas A-1E Skyraider. It was used in Vietnam, and it just seems to radiate sorrow. Visitors in the area report feeling watched and uneasy, and some refuse to go near it. Although this was not the aircraft that made me feel like I was being watched, we'll get there in a minute. And perhaps the most chilling of all, and one that I think is the coolest, is Azrael, the Lockheed AC-130A Spectre gunship, named after the Angel of Death. This aircraft dominated the Vietnam skies, and it left devastation below. Some say it carries the weight of death with it because it caused so much destruction, and people have seen shadows walking beside it and heard unexplainable noises echoing around its wings. I didn't experience any of that, but I will tell you it looked really cool in person. In my experience there, besides seeing a UFO and a penguin, the strangest thing was Jimmy Carter's Air Force One. So when I stepped inside of the presidential aircraft once used by Jimmy Carter, I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't expect anything paranormal here at all. I had gone through this aircraft multiple times before, but when I stepped inside this time, something kind of felt off. Now, it's really weird, it's a tight place, the lights are dim because they're trying to preserve the history, and there's, clear plastic put up so you get weird reflections. But the entire time I went through that aircraft, I felt like something was watching me. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up, and I guarantee you if I had a spirit box or an EMF detector or anything like that, I would have been getting responses like crazy. The country part of me wants to say I was covered in goose pimples. I had goosebumps everywhere. It was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had on an aircraft in my life. When I was speaking to one of the volunteers near President Carter's plane, and I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be weird, but are there any ghost stories about that plane? It felt weird. I didn't want to be like, I'm recording this for a video or anything. And he told me that, quote, numerous employees have reported hearing weird noises, like tools dropping, wrenches turning, and even curse words when nobody else is around in that area. Some believe it's the ghost of a mechanic who died during the restoration of the Air Force One. Others think it may be someone still working long after they're supposed to permanently clock out. That sounded like one of the most scripted answers I've ever heard in my entire life. Maybe this dude is just, a good writer and he's waiting for some weird person to ask him a question like that. Maybe it's something that actually goes on at Wright-Pat. I'm not entirely sure, but it freaked me out. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, what's happening at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force goes far beyond war stories and old metal. These aircraft changed the course of history, and some seem to carry the souls of that history with them. My name is John, this is The Other Side, and remember, sometimes history doesn't stay in the past.